lifetime musician, and a member of several local ensembles. John Husler talks to us about his musical journey from trumpet to lower brass, meeting the love of his life in high school, and having a musical connection throughout their marriage. Next on OTP.
And hello, John. How you doing?
Hi, Mark. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. I first want to say thank you for agreeing to be on this episode. I really appreciate it because I know you're not crazy about doing this.
No, thank you for asking.
Let's start right away. First of all, are you from New Mexico, John?
I am. I grew up in Madrid until we moved to Albuquerque when I was in the ninth grade. And so I attended Monroe Junior High when I came to Albuquerque in the ninth grade. And Baby Rush was my band director at that time.
Okay, very good, very good. Did your siblings play, or your parents at all play?
Yes. My mother played piano. She didn't read too well, but she played by ear and did some reading. Mm-hmm. And my dad was tone deaf, so that's where I got my talent. And my older brother was the actual. He actually was talented. Earl was. He learned accordion in Madrid. There was a fellow that moved there that had accordion, so Earl took accordion lessons and piano lessons.
Wow.
And he also, when he went to the New Mexico Military Institute for his 12th grade, he played clarinet, and they were marching early in the morning, and his hands were freezing, so he picked up the trombone and learned that in a week so he could wear gloves while they were marching. So, and he was very talented. He played tuba at UNM for a while, but he was in engineering, and they were trying to shove 5-year course in 4 years, so he dropped out of the band. But he was actually very talented. And my younger brother played trumpet, but he wasn't serious about it. And as far as my family, my older daughter played clarinet, Carrie. My younger daughter played oboe at the Highland Band. John Sanks was her director. Great. And then my son Chris played euphonium or baritone at Highland also.
That's great. I'm hearing all of this. Did you and Bonnie set out to put a musical family together intentionally, or was there a plan?
It just happened. No.
Yeah, it just came together.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a musical group.
Right. And so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there was, from the beginning, if I'm hearing this right, a love for music all in your family.
There was. And actually, I guess I got the first love of music from my third and fourth grade teacher. We had a little tonette band, and everyone had a tonette. And our teacher, one time I remember this distinctly, she brought her record player to class, and she'd do that occasionally, but she did the William Tell Overture, and I remember one of the kids, Marino Leyva, pretending he was on a horse and galloping to that, and I never will forget that. But so we had teachers that were interested in teaching us, well, I'd say good music.
Right, inspiring you, is planting the seed.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Now, why trumpet? What put you in that direction?
I'm not exactly sure. My older brother was playing clarinet in the Madrid band, and I guess I just wanted to try the trumpet, so that's what I started with. It was a Pan American, a cheap one, but my younger brother played that afterwards, so it got some life.
There you go. And then what happened? You went into high school. You went on to lower brass?
Yes, and in the ninth grade with BB Rush, I switched from trumpet to euphonium or baritone because we had a plethora of trumpets,
Uh,
and I was kind of glad I did that because then um, I was able to. Uh, well, what really inspired me was going to a concert to hear the Marine Band, and I heard a fellow named Lawrence or Larry Wahey that played the Bluebells of Scotland on trombone, and
yes.
that really inspired me to start trombone, and that was helpful because I learned bass clef as
Right.
a sophomore at Highland. I sat next to John Cheatham, and he was the best private lesson teacher that I ever had because I just learned from him sitting next to him on euphonium, and then he got me in a band with he and a bunch of Highland students, along with Bobby Shue from Valley.
Wow. Some names,
Had
man.
a little band. So
You're
I was
dropping the big names.
I was the weak link in that group because I hadn't played trombone very long. But gosh,
Yeah,
that was fun.
I bet. I bet. That's a story right there.
Yeah,
Oh man, you had a great experience.
I really
Um,
did.
yeah, and you
John is
didn't even,
emeritus. He's emeritus at the University of Missouri Columbia now, and
okay.
he's written so many things. In fact, he wrote many things for us and
Right.
for a lot of the memorials for like people like Jim Whitlow and whatnot, and he's just an incredible composer and arranger. Um,
You're truly blessed to be able to, I want to use the term stumble, next to those great players and musicians.
yeah, that's the right term, stumble, because I was lucky to be in the Highland Band with John,
That's
and of
great.
course he wrote the asymmetric suite for us for
Right.
the New Horizon Band.
Right.
But that's one of the easier things he's written. Most of the things he writes, we can't play. He
Hey,
doesn't write garbage.
I had a hard time conducting that piece, so you know.
No kidding.
Yeah.
We had a hard time playing it.
You had a hard time following me on that piece. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. You know, the connection. Well, I want to go back to the Marine Band and Bluebells of Scotland for a second. I love that piece as well. You know, don't you think? Talk about the connection of music and how it directs us toward our instrument that we want to play. The reason why I bring it up is several conversations I've had with other musicians. They've had a similar experience that there was a certain music that sort of guided them to the particular instrument. Do you think that connection exists?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, if you had heard that on flute, would you try to play flute?
I doubt it. For some reason, the trombone just really, uh, it really related. I related to it, and it was just a beautiful thing. And
Right.
so I think that, and with John getting me started in playing trombone in this group, made me want to practice. So
Yeah.
that helped.
Yeah. Talk about John Cheatham for a minute and your experience in that path. He sort of, if I'm hearing you right, puts you on a musical path and journey. Is that a fair statement?
Definitely, yeah.
Um,
Because we'd go out to Lucky's Pizza after concerts at Highland,
yeah.
and we had a small group that went together, and he'd always invite probably the whole brass section or anybody that wanted to come, and we'd get together after concerts, and
Right.
and he he gave my brother and I rides to school when he had a Dodge, and he would pick me up and take me to Highland with him when we had a carpool.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And that's a part of band or the camaraderie of playing with other musicians that I haven't really talked to other people about. Just that fellowship that comes with playing. I know we feel it with the New Horizon band,
Right.
and especially as we get older, that's so important, having that friendship and connection.
And that's mostly what it's all about is playing good music with good friends.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Right.
Yeah. Wally Cleveland, tell us a little bit about that experience.
He was great. He was a really good band director, and he played. He had us play very difficult music,
Mhm.
and
This was
we
at
Highland High School.
Highland. Okay.
Yeah, right. And that was my sophomore to senior year, and I sat next to John for he graduated the year ahead of me, so I
Mhm.
followed him on to UNM, and but yeah, Wally was just a great director, and like I said, the music he picked was a real challenge.
Yeah.
And we would go in the noon hour and eat our lunch and then practice. Uh, and when I got to UNM, it was a blessing to me because I was majoring in chemistry, which was hard enough, but I felt like I should stay in the band because Bill Rhodes and Wally both helped me get a scholarship to UNM to study chemistry.
There you
So I
go.
stayed in the band, but what saved me was the fact that Wally had us play all these difficult pieces that we were playing at UNM.
Right.
So I did practice, but I didn't have to work as hard because I'd already played a lot of them. And
You
so
had it under your belt.
yeah, that was that was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Now we have to tap into this part. The most important part of your high school career is you met your love of your life. Talk about that.
Bonnie, yeah. I walked into the band room my senior year, and she was sitting there, uh, and she had just moved from Wisconsin, so this was her first day at school. She was
Oh.
sitting in the band room all by herself, and I, it's like love at first sight for me. It took her a while to get used to me, but yeah, and so she played trumpet, and she played really well, and so my my first date with her, I was the drum major, and I was in charge of the pep band for the basketball games.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
I invited her to go with me, and she went with me to the game. And I considered it a date, but she went home with another guy, so it was not a propitious whatever. What's that word? Anyway, it wasn't a good start.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me see. Wait a minute. I want to back you up for a second on that. Now, did she come from a musical family?
As a matter of fact, she was playing her aunt's trumpet.
Oh.
Her aunt was worked for. She was a whack in the Second World War, and she drove a jeep for a general.
How do you
But
like that?
she played trumpet, and so Bonnie inherited that, and that's how she got started in trumpet because they didn't have a lot of money. Her dad was a fireman,
Okay.
and so she she didn't really have too much of a choice for an instrument. This was free, and so
Yeah.
that's how she got started.
What brought them to Albuquerque, if I may
Well,
ask?
her dad, as I said, was a fireman, and he was overcome by smoke, and so he was on his way to Arizona to for his health, and they stopped off in Albuquerque to stay with Bonnie's uncle,
Okay.
who had 4 children, and Bonnie had 2 sisters and a brother, and they were all staying in this small house there on Cagua off of San Pedro.
Okay.
And they stayed together with her uncle for several weeks until they decided, well, they're going to stay in Albuquerque. So they got a house out on Headingley, which was almost out of town at the time.
Right.
And so that's when I met Bonnie when she started going to Highland.
Wow. That's great. On a side note, I've talked to a lot of people that that's sort of how they ended up in Albuquerque, just by mistake,
Yeah.
like Bugs Bunny took that left turn.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, you two meet in high school in your senior year, and you start dating, and how talk about that relationship and how music sort of tied you together.
Well, okay. Um, what was interesting was in the summer. Well, we would go to summer band. Was at Albuquerque High School,
Okay.
and Carl Kramer was the director, and invited all the high school kids in Albuquerque to come to that. So we'd do that. But I worked up at Madrid. I'd take my boss from Albuquerque at 7 in the morning, work from 8 to 5 at Madrid, and come back. And I would truck coal and haul water, and I scrapped the metals, the copper and steel from the powerhouse when it burned down.
Wow.
So I did that one summer, and I'd come home. I was really tired after a 10-hour day driving.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was so tired I wanted to just stop off the road and
Go to
take a
sleep.
nap.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Bonnie and I would go out to a movie, and I was a good date. I'd sleep through it, and when we were married and moved to Utah, which was our first jobs there,
Okay.
um, I we had a movie theater, and we'd get you know recent movies almost every night, and we'd go there just to go to the air conditioner because it had air conditioning.
Yeah.
And I'd say a particular movie, let's go see this one, and she'd say, well, we've already seen it. I said, well, I haven't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that was a really great time in Utah. Bonnie started a men's chorus. We bowled in a mixed league, and
Yeah.
she started a choir at the chapel,
Yeah.
and I sang in that. I sang in every group she ever directed,
Wow.
and helped her with the logistics.
Right.
Once at La Mesa, at our church at La Mesa Presbyterian, she had uh, an actual orchestra, and I built out the stand so we'd have room for everybody to do the
Right.
portions of the Messiah.
Right.
And so she had when we moved back to Albuquerque, she ended up directing the choir at La Mesa Presbyterian for 20 years, and then she
Wow.
supposedly retired, but then she couldn't do that, so she directed the choirs at Faith Lutheran for a year, and then 7 years at Rio Rancho Presbyterian.
Right.
So I followed her around for all of those times, and sang in the choir and helped her with the handbells,
You carried her
and
bags.
and the youth choir. I directed that at times too.
There you go. That that music was just part of your relationship and the DNA, and it talk about how that was so important to your family and your marriage.
Well, it kept us together because we enjoyed the same music. We played in the Albuquerque concert band for I don't know how many years.
Right.
She played in it longer than I did. We were meeting at well, before I joined, and I was babysitting our kids in the 70s. We started rehearsing at our church at La Mesa Presbyterian at the basement,
Hmm.
and Kenny Anderson was the director at that time.
Right.
And and then when we grew, we moved to I think Manzano was next, and then to El Dorado.
I see.
But that's and so I was babysitting our kids for the first couple of years, and then I joined the Albuquerque concert band after she did.
Right. Right. So you guys played a lot of music. We have a clip here of you playing. And is Bonnie playing on this clip, or is it just you, John?
That's a is that the cousins that I gave you the recording
Right.
of which I
Right.
gave you the recording?
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
yeah, that's a duet. It's a trumpet and it's a trumpet duet. But I
Mhm.
played euphonium with Bonnie, so it
Oh,
was
that's
a trumpet euphonium duet,
right.
and it was let's see, it was in 1993,
Oh,
and it was in a park, and we just set down our boom box, which made really good recordings,
Yeah.
and so it came out pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I made a few mistakes, but it sounded pretty good. So
Yeah. Let's take a listen. We'll, yeah. Wow. That came out pretty good on the recording. That's not bad at all.
yeah, it was good. Harold Van Winkle was a conductor then, and like I said, I think that was 1993 in a park.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That really is a nice double. And I think didn't we play that the New Horizon band?
We started, and that was about the time that Bonnie became ill, so we
Uh-huh.
never got to play it again together.
Right. Right. Yeah. Now I want to ask you this in college. What was your major in college?
Chemistry.
Chemistry.
I got my bachelor's at UNM, and then we moved to Utah, and I started the work on a master's degree by correspondence through University of Utah. And I dragged Bonnie out of college at her senior year, and so um, she wanted to get back,
Right.
and she tried commuting to Salt Lake City to finish her music program, and it was just 85 miles was too much to
Yeah.
commute, and so we moved back to Albuquerque at about 1964, 65,
Okay.
and I continued my master's degree, and she got her bachelor's.
Did you ever consider to become a music major? And I mean, your music is all around your life.
Not a chance. Like I said, I enjoy it, but I am not talented, and I had to work at it. But yeah, I know
No.
Bonnie and my music, her directing and my playing in the bands with her was plenty.
Right. Yeah. You made a good team. It
I
was
think
great.
so.
I'm blessed to have known her and to know both of you and watch that part of your marriage and your life together. That was really cool.
Well,
That's
I
neat.
know she and I both are thankful to know you, so
Yeah.
feelings mutual.
That's great. Now, a big part of the podcast is talking to those not just older listeners, but people that are interested in playing. Talk a little bit about why they should pick up their instrument and get back into music or start it for the first time.
Well, uh, it's a good way to make friends for one thing. It's a
There you
good
go.
way to learn good music and enjoy good music.
Hmm.
And so I would recommend it to anybody, even if you don't have any talent, as I don't. You could also just pick the instrument that you like and just start it. And I guarantee you, you'd enjoy it. And New Horizon Band is a good place to start because everybody's friendly,
Right.
and we don't have to be great. And it's just a super way to make friends and to get into
Hmm.
music that's enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. Your best is enough. And that's the saying of New Horizons band. And And I beg to differ. You are a very talented young man, and
Thanks a lot, pal.
you can put a
I
little extra in my paycheck there.
and it's coming. It's coming. It's in the mail.
You know, it's a pleasure to talk to you and others about their life with music. The trombone. Before I let you go, I want to touch upon that. Uh, the trombone. You talked about you gravitated toward that instrument, lower brass. You play it phenomenally. Um, so would you ever consider, going to woodwind or percussion or any other? Or is that your just DNA?
No, uh, Elaine Zachary has loaned me her second French horn.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm going to work on that after this next concert in the with the Rio Grande Symphonic Band because I'm not able to play very well either horn right now. With actually, I'm playing euphonium in that, which is my preferred instrument.
Right.
I want to say that I I really enjoyed sports. I was really good at baseball and basketball because that's all we had to do in Madrid.
Uh,
But uh, but I've kind of lost my train of thought here.
no, but
Uh,
you're pretty good in sports. And, yeah.
but I ended up in band at Highland because I had a choice.
Mhm.
And what I can say is I probably would have never made the major leagues in baseball or
Right.
basketball, uh, the NBL,
Yeah.
the NBA.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was able to in playing euphonium. I was able to play with the Barnum and Bailey Circus Band when they came to town, and I'd
Wow.
make more on a weekend then than I made a month in Madrid working there shoveling coal. And also, I got to play trombone in uh, the Holiday on Ice and
Right.
the
Oh, wow.
Ice
Oh, there you
whenever
go.
they came to town. Now
Yeah.
those things are things of the past because now they use canned music that's so loud you can't stand to go to the programs, you know.
Yeah.
But those were great, and so I helped earn was able to help earn my way through college. So
Hmm.
neither Bonnie nor I had to make any loans to get through
Wow.
school, as
Yeah.
pretty much different these days now.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. Yeah.
and also I got to play in a union band with Ted Rush, and we played in the parks
Okay.
on as I recall on Saturdays during the summer,
Right.
and we made I don't know $20 or $40 a gig. So
Yeah.
uh, it wasn't just for fun. We were able to make a little money on the side too. I played
Sure.
for the Lone Ranger out at the Rio Puerco too. That was a real boondoggle because we're still getting residuals from that.
Wow.
It's,
The movie you're talking about, right?
right,
Yeah.
the Lone Ranger.
How do you like that? That's
That was
great.
great.
That made me think of Jay Blair played in the what was that movie with Up in Madrid with the
Yeah,
motorcycle guy?
hogs, wild
Yeah.
hog. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the place right next door to where I lived,
Oh, really?
and the people that own the Mineshaft Tavern live in the house that I lived in, and
Uh-huh.
my dad built the basement, and so
Oh,
they're living in the basement, and they've made the top floor. It's called Cowgirl Red, where they
uh,
sell boots and saddles and jewelry,
right.
and
Right.
so that was kind of interesting that and I have pictures of my dad bringing me back in the wheelbarrow when he took loads of dirt out to the back.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're so glad that music has brought us together, John. I consider you as one of my best friends there, and really enjoy you in the band and listening to you play, of course. And
Well, I feel the same, and you've been really great to me and to that band, and made it so enjoyable. Everyone in there is easygoing. People can make mistakes as long as we're trying as much as
that's
we
it.
can.
That's it,
That's
man.
all that matters, and it's just
Yeah.
super. I
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know I didn't really have to pull you into the podcast, but
Not exactly.
yeah.
Well, I had a lot going on at the time, but things
Sure.
the dust is
Settling down.
settled a little.
There you go.
So.
Well, we want to thank the listeners for listening to the podcast. And you can find this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or even on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. And and by all means, go out and try to play all the right notes.
We try, Mark.
Yeah.
You've been listening to The Podium. If you would like to be a guest on The Podium, email the show at onthe2@gmail.com. That's ONTHEPODIUMTOO @gmail.com.